General Merrick Garland was grilled on Capitol Hill yesterday and dodged even the most basic of questions. Trump Attorney Jesse Bennell will be here with all the very latest. And later, the chaos at the southern border is somehow going from bad to worse, if you can believe this. We're going to play you the latest shocking footage and get full reaction with former acting ICE Director Tom Homan. And in just moments, 2024 Republican presidential candidate and iconic radio talk show host Larry Elder will be here to expose how Democrats destroyed our country so much so fast. And we begin today out on the left coast in the state of California, as we are now learning that the state is on track to lose 5 House seats by the year 2030. As middle-class Americans flee the once great Golden State that I used to call home. The latest population trends from the Census Bureau are predicting an even greater population decline, meaning that the California D.C. delegation could shrink and even lose some of its heavy influence in Congress. Sadly, for many, the California dream has morphed into a Golden State nightmare, crippled by one policy failure after another. Combined with rising costs and surging crime, California finds itself searching for answers as more and more residents head for the exits. But it's the left's California agenda that Washington Democrats want for the rest of our country, including Vice President Kamala Harris, who continues to find new and creative ways to embarrass herself. Here she is this week, wondering if you ever heard her story about the, quote, 2 frogs. You just can't make this up. Watch.
Little story about the 2 frogs in the pots of water. Okay, so here, you're a good storyteller. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So 2 frogs and 2 pots of water. So in one pot of water, you drop the frog in and you slowly turn up the heat. And that frog will be like, oh, it's getting a little warm in here. And then that water starts to boil and that frog perishes. In the other pot of water, you turn up the heat to the point it's boiling. You drop the frog in it, it'll jump right out. Let's not be that first frog.
I don't really know what to say about that. I think it's so whacked. It's crazy. It's not even a good example. It doesn't sound good. It's kind of grotesque, quite frankly. But, of course, the only one worse than Kamala Harris is Biden himself, as Sloppy Joe couldn't even figure out how to use his audio equipment with the Brazilian president, leading to this bizarre sequence with the translator. Take a look.
Well, first of all, I would like to greet President Biden and to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good.
Joining us now, 2024 presidential candidate, iconic radio talk show host, author of As Goes California. He is known as the Sage from South Central, our great friend Larry Elder. What a pleasure to have you on the program.
Kimberly, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Where do you start?
Wonderful to be with you. Yeah, we got it going, babe. We get it going. So let me tell you something. So I was at that presidential debate, and I was so, for lack of a better term, pissed off, because I'm looking to the stage from left to right, and I'm like, Larry Elder should be on this stage. To me, it is so outrageous. They're so afraid of you. You know, we walked in, right? And we see they've got your picture up, like America's Most Wanted or the Wild West. They've got like our campaign, like managers, comms guys, everyone, like see something, say something. Like, somebody's about to storm the building, terrorist watch or something. I kid you, it was crazy. I was saying to myself, are you kidding me? But they're afraid because the other people on the stage doesn't have your talent, your ability, your passion, your convictions, and your insight and intelligence. And I said, wow, how are some of these people on this stage? And they went out of their way to try to prevent and stop Larry Elder from being on the stage. And so many people were disappointed and upset about that.
Well, I met all their criteria. I had 40,000 individual donors. I did that. I had to submit 3 polls where I was at 1% or better. I did that. Last minute, Ronna McDaniel calls me and says you can't use one of the polls, the Rasmussen poll, because it is affiliated with Trump. to which Rasmussen promptly said, we're not affiliated with Trump. And so we submitted a fourth poll, Kimberly, and they said you submitted it too late, which is true. I didn't realize I needed to submit another one, A, and B, they finished their polling before the cutoff. So there was enough wiggle room. The RNC could have had me up there had they wanted to. And you're right, not only was I not allowed to debate, there was a big sign at the door telling security that if Elders shows up or if a team shows up, don't let him in. So now I guess I made the RNC terror watch list.
It's unbelievable, right? I mean, just quite frankly, it's disappointing because people wanted you there. You qualified. You should have been there. But I just wanted to let you know that just from a personal standpoint that I was totally with you. I'm like, everybody, we stand with Larry Elder. But I just want to say again, it's a pleasure to have you on. We look forward to having you on often. You will always have a platform here and a place on this show and on Rumble. So we appreciate that. I want to get some of your assessments, on what's gone wrong in California. Why voters keep, turning out for the same failed politicians, and how you've been able to expose it, and how do we fix it? Because there's plenty of people like, don't forget about us in the People's Republic of California. Like, right. They want to have a voice. They want responsible government. They want, fearless, strong, smart political leaders elected. So many of them would like to see, that kind of leadership, because what they have there is, the People's Republic of California. How do you see what's going on there? What is sort of the chance, the opportunity, the pathway towards sanity there and responsible governance?
Well, Kimberly, that's why I ran in the recall election, and that's why I've written the book that you mentioned, As Goes California, my mission to rescue the Golden State and save the nation. It's about what will happen to your state, a theater near you, if you push the policies that our single party state has pushed now for decades. We have supermajority of Democrats in the House, in the Senate. A Republican has not won statewide, Kimberly, in 20 years. We are outnumbered 3-1. And what they've done is they've indoctrinated a whole generation of Californians to believe no matter how bad things are, no matter how bad the crime is, no matter how bad the homelessness is, no matter the fact that people are leaving California for the first time in 170 years, no matter the fact that we have the average price of a home in California costs 175% above the national average. None of this stuff is so bad as to require a Republican to come over. When I ran, I got outspent almost 10-1. In comes Joe Biden. He said Larry Elder is the closest thing to a Donald Trump clone as I've ever seen. Kamala Harris cut a commercial. Sanders did. Warren did. They all said the same thing. Nobody said Gavin Newsom is doing a good job by shutting down the state in a more severe way than anybody else did because of COVID. Gavin Newsom doing a good job on schools, or schools are near the bottom. They said the same thing over and over and over again. Stop the Republican takeover, and it worked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you've said after the first debate, to segue back to that Donald Trump won by not being there. You're running a campaign that is not attacking the other candidates. What do you make of these desperate candidates like Chris Christie or Mike Pence, who have chosen to just go out and try to smear Donald Trump?
Well, just as when I ran for governor, Kimberly, I did not say a single negative thing about my fellow replacement Republican candidates because I knew the target was Gavin Newsom. Similarly, the target is Biden Harris. We've got to get them out. We see what's happened with the borders, with inflation, with gas prices. They've got to go. So we need to coalesce behind a candidate. And right now, obviously, the front runner is Donald Trump. I campaigned with him and for him in 2016. Yes, I supported him in 2020. And if asked to do so, I will do so again, because the real urgency is to make sure that Joe Biden does not have another 4 years. And trust me, if Biden cannot fog up a mirror, it will be Kamala Harris. I know a lot of people think she's going to be dropkicked for some white dude like Gavin Newsom or Mayor Pete. Are you kidding me? What they've done is they've trained a whole bunch of black voters that if things don't go well, it's because of systemic racism. They've got a black female vice president. If she is pushed aside for somebody else, black female voters, by the way, the most loyal part of the Democratic base are black female voters. Sure. And the first primary is South Carolina, where 60% of the Democrat primary voters are black. Most of those are black female. And they love Kamala Harris. And if she's pushed to the side, they will no longer, revolt. They won't vote. They won't vote Republican. They just won't vote, thereby guaranteeing whoever our nominee is, he or she will win the election. So the Democrats cannot afford to do that. You play by the gender and identity and race sword. You die by the gender, identity, and race sword. So they're stuck with her.
So, but here's the thing, but are they? They're very clever and they work together very well. And, she is extremely disliked by the majority of Democrats, except for black females, like you say.
Right.
They're in a tough position. That's why they need Biden and Harris to finish out as far as possible, essentially, the administration, and then say, okay, we're going to put somebody forward. How do they do that, though? I mean, what if they end up putting up Michelle Obama and somebody like a Gavin Newsom for, a VP, and hold on, like Kamala is, promise a cabinet position, Secretary of State, like something else that she might want, or U.S. Senator, I don't know.
Not going to happen. Kamala Harris wants to be president. Don't forget, she ran.
There's no chance she can be president, though. They don't care how black she is or not. The bottom line is, when she was in California and San Francisco, she kept telling me she was Asian. I'm like, what do you mean Asian? Well, like South Asian. I'm from India. I'm like, what the heck? So, that's what she was telling all the people, and 42% of the voters are Asian American in San Francisco, and that's what she was trying to tell them every day. They're like, no, I don't think so. But anyway, whatever. So despite that, no one wants her in the party. That's the problem.
First primary, South Carolina for the Democrats, 60% of the voters in that Democrat primary are black. Majority of them are black females, and they love Kamala Harris. Look at the black media. They feel that she's being picked on for her so-called cackle that is both sexist and racist. And they feel that Joe Biden has given her thankless tasks, like getting to the bottom of the root causes of illegal immigration. So they feel she's been treated unfairly. If
I don't
she's pushed to the
know.
side, again,
like go to anti-cackling school, like figure it out, get a voice coach or something, and quit that laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not doing herself any good, and then she cackles like a hyena and tells bad frog jokes. So how is this, like, I don't know. This is not a winning combination. She will be crushed if they choose her and she runs against President Trump. You know that, right?
No.
But you think the Democrats are going to let her lose the election for them?
They won't have a choice. They trained black voters that if you are mistreated because of racism, black female voters will resent it very much if she's pushed to the side. You're right. The only way she could be pushed to the side is for another popular black female, and that would be either Oprah Winfrey or Michelle Obama, neither of whom wants the job. No, they are stuck with Kamala Harris. Trust me, take it to the bank. They're stuck with her.
All right, well, you're scaring me because I believe you. And you've got this, Larry Elder Psychic Friends Network that you're always right about stuff. So now I'm really freaked out. Thanks a lot. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Oh, my God, having worked with this woman, let me tell you something. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to put a lot of money, and I don't know how they're going to be able to steal that many votes to get her across the finish line. I mean, quite frankly. I mean, you think everybody's going to show up for her? I think there's plenty of Democrats that are not fond of her.
They're already rehabilitating her, talking about what a great job she did after the Dobbs decision. And remember, she ran for DA in the Bay Area. She got elected. She ran for Attorney General in California, got elected, ran for Senator,
I know, honey, but she was put in because she was Willie Brown's girlfriend. I was right there for all of it, okay? They sent her to Wilkes-Barre, get her dressed up there with the fancy outfits. She was dating Willie. Then she got in. She had tried 4 felony cases in the Alameda County DA's office, and all of a sudden was like the sweetheart pick, for DA in San Francisco. If you don't believe me, ask Willie Brown. He's more than happy to talk about it, too, because he built that. And he's not too happy about it right now.
Well, in the meantime, Kimberly, I've got to make that first debate on the 27th. And so
all right, so let's talk about that.
Or better. I got to get 3% or better in 3 different polls. So I'm asking people to go to my website, larryelder.com, throw a little something in the tip jar. We have filed a complaint with the Federal Election Commission based on how I was treated in the first debate. And that's going to take for a while to sort through. My lawyer is the former chair of the FEC. And he says by failing to apply the debate criteria fairly to Elder, what they've done is give an in-kind contribution to the 8 people who made it. So that's being worked out right now. But in the meantime, I need to make that debate. Nobody's talking about the epidemic of fatherlessness until I started talking about it. Big article the other day, Kimberly, in the New York Times by one of their longtime left-wing columnists, and he talked about fatherlessness and took the liberals to task for avoiding it, said it was counterproductive not to talk about it. And nobody's talking about an amendment to the Constitution to fix spending to a certain percentage of the GDP. Otherwise, government gets bigger and bigger, whether we win or whether we lose, because of the so-called entitlements programs that are unsustainable. That's the word even Barack Obama and Bill Clinton used. Nobody's talking about that. And this lie that America remains systemically racist, it's getting people killed. It's not just a lie that the Democrats push in order to scare black people into voting for Democrats.
False narrative.
Yeah, it's called the Ferguson effect, and that's a phenomenon of cops pulling back, demoralized, low manpower, and as a result, crime is going up. And the people that are victimized by the so-called excess casualties are the very black and brown people that people living in the inner city purport to care about. And Kimberly, I know our party supports school choice, but they haven't made the case about how bad things are K through 12. Just to pick one city, Baltimore, 13 public high schools in Baltimore, 0% of the kids can do math at grade level, and guess what? They're all located in the inner city. So if I can get people talking about amendment to the Constitution, the importance of fatherlessness, the lie that America remains systemically racist, and the need for school choice, and I can get the party nominee to start talking about these kinds of things, I give them back to my party, and more importantly, I give them back to my country, and that is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's so reckless and dangerous. It's costing people's lives. It's, not making inner cities safe. It's hurting our schools. It's hurting our children and the future for Americans, because it's just really viciously exacerbating the circle of, poverty and crime, and especially in areas that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. You add into that equation fatherlessness, and it is just devastating and troubling to see what's happening. And this has generational, effects. I mean, it's one of the many things I love about your candidacy, about your platform, about your honesty, and that you really care. Because as you know, my friend, this is not the business to get into if you're just like, I just want to have some fun today. I'm just, going to chill and get my politics on. I mean, you're out there really trying to champion the issues and highlight it. Give us your website again, and I'm praying for you to get on that debate stage. Don Jr. and I will be anchoring from there as well. So with our Rumble shows, look, they even try to keep, the son of the president, his two top surrogates out from there too. So these people are so scared of the truth and the facts, and of an honest and healthy, competition and debate fight for this country. So, but, you're not faint of heart, right? You're Larry the Braveheart elder.
The website is larryelder.com. A New York Times reporter said, are you doing this for a column? Are you doing this for a radio show, for a TV show? I said, do your homework.
Had all that.
I've given all that up to run, and I'm not flush. I'm not like Vivek or like Donald Trump. I still have bills to pay. I'm doing this because I care about my country. I feel like I got an obligation to give back to a country that's been so great to me, to my family, and frankly, to the world. That's why I'm doing this.
God bless him. Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on him. Larry Elder, a great American, an America First patriot, a smart man who's dedicating his life because he believes in this country and knows that it's worth fighting for. My friend, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you. I'm going to manifest here in California, okay?
I'll see you in the Ronald Reagan Library.
Exactly, honey. I'll see you there. All right. Thank you, Larry. And coming up, Attorney General Merrick Garland was grilled on Capitol Hill yesterday. We have full coverage on all his dodges and deflections with Trump attorney Jesse Benal. You don't want to miss it. And later, more violent criminals strolling across the southern border as illegal immigrants flood our beautiful country. Former acting ICE Director Tom Homan will be here, and he's going to break it all down. He is fired up. So make sure you like, please, and subscribe so you never miss these major episodes of my show and of Don Jr.'s, because it's all of you who make our shows possible, along with our incredible sponsors. So please be sure to go check out the great folks over at Goldco, because gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. Look, we see all the economic warning signs, okay? We don't want to become California. We see inflation, we see reckless spending, we see Biden chaos, and I want you to be ready, because I'm ready. With Goldco, you can take action to secure and stabilize your portfolio. Roll over your 401k or IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings. You can do this. You can, and you can do it all tax and penalty free. From precious metals, IRAs to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of Americans place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And when you open up a qualifying gold IRA today, you're going to get up to $10,000 in free silver. They're going to give it to you. You interested? I'm interested. Go to kimsmetals.com to learn more. That's kimsmetals.com. The great folks at Goldco will take care of you start to finish. Now, we turn to the Washington swamp, where yesterday Attorney General Merrick Garland testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee amid growing evidence about a full-blown cover-up to protect the Biden family. But The look on his face told the whole story, as Garland offered little substance and could hardly keep his story straight on just how involved his office was in protecting Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family. Here's Congressman Russell Fry laying it all out. Watch.
Where I'm going. If he was denied the ability to bring charges in March of 22 in the District of Columbia, if he was denied the ability to bring charges in January of 23 in the Central District of California, that's not full authority. These U.S. attorneys operate as gatekeepers, so that's not full authority to do much of anything. And you know what's remarkable to me? We sit here and we look at this, and his story has changed so many times. You know whose story hasn't changed? Mr. Shapley, Mr. Ziegler, the emails that confirm that he said, I'm not the deciding person on whether charges are filed. And you know what the response back was from his colleague at work? Yep, you covered it all, Gary.
And Merrick Garland didn't take responsibility for any of his department's failings, and yet again revealed why so many Americans have lost confidence in the justice system. Joining me now for a reaction, Trump attorney and the founder of the Banal Law Group, Jesse Banal. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Jim, thanks so much for having me.
All right, fantastic. So just get kind of like first off to start off the top, your general reaction to the comments from Attorney General Merrick Garland yesterday. You know, what stuck out to you? What were you expecting? And, you know, what didn't we hear?
It was dishonesty and gaslighting. That's what it was all day yesterday from Merrick Garland. First of all, you had dishonesty from him trying to make it seem like he was overseeing honest investigations when we all know that personnel is policy. So his appointment of Jack Smith to go after Donald Trump, even though, you know, Jack Smith is this, you know, rabid prosecutor who has a history of going after people he doesn't like, regardless of what the law or the facts say, is just quite frankly dishonest. While at the same time, the people that he appoints to look into to Democrats are they're far less likely to move quickly like Jack Smith is. And the gaslighting, you know, saying over and over again that he couldn't speak to specific instances because of the ongoing investigation. Well, at this point, Congress has, for instance, they have a impeachment inquiry going on, and Congress needs to be able to do oversight. And the weaponization of politics by the Department of Justice right now is such a serious issue that this is the most important thing that Congress is performing oversight on right now at all. So that's kind of an overview kind of what we saw yesterday from Merrick Garland.
Okay, so, and he didn't even seem, able to explain who exactly has authority over what, suggesting he's kind of like not involved in any of these, which just does not make sense unless you're obviously avoiding the questions and giving answers that you know of what's going on. So that he wasn't involved in any of these decisions to prosecute. Can you take us inside this, you know, the DOJ and what Garland really isn't telling us? Like, he's just being very dishonest with the American people.
Oh, he's being extremely dishonest with the American people because at the end of the day, the buck stops here. He wants to try to always claim someone else is responsible for these particular failings and referring them to other individuals that to give them the answers. When in reality, Merrick Garland is responsible, for instance, for the fact that the FBI is investigating Catholics. You know, the fact that Merrick Garland couldn't give a straight answer to whether he thinks that traditional Catholics are extremists, are effectively terrorists, that really shows how far the Department of Justice has gone at this point. And then at that point, he got completely indignant by suggesting that because of his personal background and his family background, inoculates him from at this point from going after people on the basis of religion. And it's true, as I understand it, Merrick Garland's family was heavily impacted by the Holocaust. Absolutely horrid. But that makes it all the much worse that he would do this to other families in America. based on religion. And that's what the Department of Justice and that's what the FBI is doing right now. And he doesn't get a free pass for that. It's his Department of Justice that continues to weaponize government against Americans. And there were some, I think, really striking moments yesterday, especially with, a member of Congress from Ukraine who grew up under Soviet control, talking about how we've now reached a point where Americans today have that same fear of the government oppressing them because of their religious beliefs or political beliefs as the Soviet Union did, that she grew up with over 30 years ago. It was really, really striking.
Yeah, very compelling indeed. Jack Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy. He's also pushing, for a gag order, so un-American, violating the First Amendment, to stop Donald Trump from even talking about his indictments while he's campaigning. So he's not even able to sort of defend himself or state his innocence, etc., or the weaknesses of the case. Can you lay out what the standards are for a gag order and the constitutional, questions at play here in this case?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kim, because here's what it comes down to. When the founders put together the First Amendment, and there's a reason that it's first, it's a reason that they put that at the very top of the list.
Good point.
What they were concerned about was a couple things. First of all, it was the protection of political speech. They weren't thinking about, weird pornography when they wrote the First Amendment. They were concerned about political speech first and foremost. And the second thing that they were very concerned about were prior restraints on speech. And what a prior restraint on speech is the court coming in with an injunction early, even before you speak, and saying, we are not going to allow you to talk about subjects A, B, and C. This is exactly what Jack Smith is asking Judge Chutkan to do on both levels. The weaponization of government is the biggest political issue facing Americans today. And to tell the leading candidate for president from either party that he cannot talk about that political issue is, and to do it with a prior restraint, which is a gag order, is absolutely unconstitutional. The standard for a gag order is so incredibly high that in the early 1970s, when the Department of Defense wanted to stop the Washington Post and the New York Times from publishing classified information about the Vietnam War, things that were ongoing and classified, the Supreme Court of the United States says no. Even though people might die, even though it has to do with information that is top secret today, that's not enough to have a prior restraint on speech. That's how high the standard is here. Jack Smith hasn't come close to meeting it, and he should be laughed out of the courtroom for even bringing that motion. He should be, at this point, he really should be disbarred for his activities.
No, you're absolutely right. It's outrageous, and I love that you bring up prior restraint, because that's the standard. But these people, they don't even care. They don't even pretend that the Constitution applies to everybody, or that they should safeguard these freedoms and these constitutional protections. They are there for a reason, with great forethought put in by our forefathers. Can you also give us a time frame? Because so many people ask me this, and I'd just love to have the opportunity here with you, and we appreciate your time, to kind of lay out these indictments in terms of the time frame for them to be adjudicated. People are very concerned about this because of the election, that they're trying to, essentially put Trump on the bench. They're trying to put him in a courtroom, lock him up there, throw away the key so that he can't get out and campaign, kind of like what they did, with COVID and Biden not having to campaign, etc. This is a way they're trying to stop, like, the Trump rallies, the Trump campaign momentum, because no one works as hard as he does and is more effective, and all the people that'll show up. They're trying to suppress essentially voter, enthusiasm, turnout, exposure, and the experience of having that, Trump moment that so many people love. And which ones, it's like 50 questions in one, but I got to get what I can from you while I have you. Do you think are the most, problematic, but also ones that you believe will go to the United States Supreme Court to ultimately, be adjudicated and have the final ruling?
Wow, those are very good
questions.
questions.
Good questions, I know.
A lot of good questions. Let's start with the timing. The fact is, we see that these prosecutors are trying to find judges that will willingly go along with their attempts to interfere with the 2024 election. And that's why these cases that would normally take years to litigate are taking such a long time currently, or that they want to take and just push through so quickly to just railroad President Trump and others through this process. And they do that, incredibly through the idea that there's some speedy trial right here for the government, and the speedy trial right belongs to the defendant, not to the government. And in a case like this, the defendant has a right to waive speedy trial, and which is particularly important when you're looking at millions upon millions upon millions of pages of discovery that's being submitted to them. So these cases, the normal time frame for these cases would be usually 18 to 24 months. That's what the schedule should be. And in fact, this case, it's so complicated, it probably should be more than that.
Yes.
So that's, I'd say that the first thing for timing is that if the judges act according to the law, these cases aren't going to come to trial for some time. We're going to see what happens. Obviously, Judge Chutkan has scheduled a trial in March. I think that's absolutely incredible. The President Trump's lawyers have said that there's no way for them to be ready in that amount of time. And that's right. That's the right answer.
Well, then they're going to open a case of ineffective assistance of counsel. If they say we absolutely cannot be ready, we cannot get this done, it is impossible, we cannot give adequate representation, and you're going to push somebody to trial, I mean, give me a break.
Yeah. And Kim, as a former prosecutor, I think you understand this more than anybody else. But when you turn over a bunch of documents to a defendant, and you can give them an outline saying this is generally an index of what is included in the discovery, but also included in that is information that we call Brady and Giglio, which is evidence that is helpful to the defendant, that constitutionally has to be turned over to the defendant. And it's not there by that index is not going to include, I guarantee it, every little instance of Brady and Giglio. There's no way that it can. And so that they have to go through very, very thoroughly in order to put together a defense. As far as what case I think is going to be the best for the Supreme Court, I think they all would fail with the Supreme Court. Just simply because of the First Amendment issues and the constitutional issues and the January 6 cases. It's very, very clearly a case that I think the Supreme Court would reverse if it gets there. It never should get there. It should be dismissed out of hand. But the documents cases, it has to do with the Presidential Records Act, which I think we've talked about before. But the Presidential Records Act, I think very, very clearly governs how presidents are to interact with the documents created during their term of office. And it does not prohibit the activities that they are even alleging that President Trump engaged in here. So even if everything they say is right, his activity was protected by the Presidential Records Act.
No, you're absolutely right. And this should be dispositive. Quite frankly, it just proves his innocence right then and there. So it's a kind of akin to like self-defense argument, so to speak, where it's like, okay, he has the ability and the right to go ahead and declassify documents. So this is just, there is no case there. That's the problem. But then they'll have to do these motions to dismiss and immediately appeal those motions to dismiss to the higher courts to get them adjudicated as quickly as possible in front of the United States Supreme Court. That I think at a minimum, needs to occur. But let's also talk about this. It's not just, the DOJ that we're seeing, issues with. There's also the Federal Election Commission. And one commissioner even said this week that the FEC is being weaponized against Republicans. You've litigated these high-profile election cases. So what does the RNC need to do to be prepared for 2024?
Oh, that's an excellent question. And I think, the most important thing that we see for the 2024 is we have to get an operation put together that does a couple things. First of all, we have to make sure that we have election integrity, and that, for instance, ballots aren't being sent to illegal voters. Ballots aren't being sent to people that have registered multiple times. Ballots aren't being sent to non-citizens or felons in certain circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that the RNC must do, and it's so incredibly important at this point to do, is we need to make sure that America First citizens are banking their votes. We cannot unilaterally disarm and say that we are going to let the Democrats get away with all their efforts in places where ballot harvesting is legal. We need to do that as well, because the best way to make sure that someone else doesn't steal your vote is to vote as early as possible.
True.
Take it from somebody who's actually litigated election cases. That is
Good.
the
I like
surest
this.
way to
Good.
ensure election integrity.
It's so smart because,
So-
you know, a lot of people don't
Yeah.
say that. They don't like break it down that way because you've litigated these cases. You know that's the way to go. So, like, bank your vote as early as possible. Don't just complain about ballot harvesting. If they're doing it, like, we've got to play by the same rules. Otherwise, putting a JV squad up against a varsity squad on the court just doesn't make sense. You're going to play, you know, your starting five, your best five. So that means ballot harvesting in the states where it is legal. Like, stop whining about it and expecting a, you know, a different result. You know, so
You bet.
we'll see.
And in the place, yeah, in the places where it's not legal, people can still go in and vote early, and that is something that every American should do to make sure that we protect the election in 2024.
Yeah, don't leave it to the last second. You never know what's going to happen. Grandma's sick, your auntie twists her ankle, whatever, and you're not able to go get the vote in. Make it count as soon as possible, and then go and try to help other people get to the polls or to vote or encourage them. Every single person can be mobilized, you know, essentially as an activist for voter integrity and get out there and make sure, be like, hey, did you vote today? Do you need me to take you to the polls? Did you put your vote in already? Did you cast your ballot? Like, do it. That's the bottom line. Like, do not wait for election day to see, you know, where the fates may fall. Like, it's too much. We've learned, you know, from this. I hope, don't take it for granted. People thought this was like a shoe-in last time. Look what happened. So I don't know. We'll see. Last question, which although I hate to ask it, it gives me stress, but I'm going to do it for the folks out there because they want to know what Jesse says. Which is the case that worries you the most?
Yeah, none of these cases worry. The case that worries me the most is anything that's brought in a jurisdiction where I think it's going to be more of a circus than a fair trial.
Flawed
it's
venue,
not the substance of these cases.
No.
Exactly. It's not the substance of these cases that worry me at all, because Donald Trump legally and factually did nothing wrong.
Correct. That's what I tell people. But you can't protect against a weaponized venue. So it may need to work its way through the legal system so that you have a venue that isn't weaponized or biased against Donald Trump. That's why we're all talking about it, you know, go through the appellate court and then ultimately to the Supreme Court.
You got it. That's exactly right. And so for that reason, I mean, honestly, it's New York and DC that worry me the most, because it certainly, you know, you've got one judge who's a Biden donor, you've got another judge who's an Obama Biden donor, and you know, to date, neither has recused themselves when they both clearly should have.
Unbelievable. But those recusal motions are in full force and effect. So we'll see that, you know, and then they should appeal that to the Supreme Court. Appeal it all. You know, take it all the way up through the process and leave no stone unturned. Well, Jesse, what a pleasure always to have you on the program. We're big fans of yours here. Our viewers love you, and thank you for your intelligence and your insight, and quite frankly, you know, your honesty. We want to hear the truth here. So thank you for that, you know.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's always a pleasure to be here and to talk about these important issues.
All right, fantastic. We look forward to seeing you again, my friend. Be well.
Thank you. You too.
All right, and just ahead, I know you're excited. I'm excited. Former acting ICE director Tom Homan is here. This guy's a superstar on why the Biden administration keeps lying to us, to you, to me, to the American people about the border crisis. And I'm keeping an eye on the live chat. It's blowing up. So keep your questions and comments coming, please. We really enjoy them. And don't forget to like and subscribe down below to the show, to the channel, if you really enjoy it. And I want to actually, you know, take a moment here to thank another incredible sponsor. So don't forget about Patriot Mobile. Call me. With Patriot Mobile, you put America first with every call, all while getting the same nationwide coverage as major carriers. Patriot Mobile provides you dependable wireless service at an affordable price, putting your dollars into action and supporting freedom-loving values. They donate a portion of every dollar to support groups that fight for the First Amendment, the right to bear arms, the sanctity of life, and protecting our brave police and first responders. Patriot Mobile, mobilizing freedom and supporting you. So for free activation, okay, no charge for activation, go to patriotmobile.com/KG. That's patriotmobile.com/KG. All right, any questions here, Drew?
Two. RS-45. Energy independence, day one with Trump. Important point.
Okay, yes, and that's the thing. I want to tell you something. I talk a lot about this. I'm all about energy independence. I think it is very dangerous from a foreign policy and national security perspective if you are not energy independent as a country. We have the ability and the means to do so. Yet you will have people like the Biden administration try to make us more dependent on foreign sources for energy, for oil, etc., instead of actually using the resources that we have in this country, which makes us less safe, which is not good. And by the way, not honoring jobs in this country. There's a whole host of problems. So I agree. And with President Trump, we will have energy independence on day one. It is a huge priority for him and a focus of the future administration, of his past administration. Will have it. You saw them try to undo everything he did as it relates to the Keystone Pipeline, all of the above. We need to get the country back on track. This is a huge portion of it. It has a financial and economic impact as well on the infrastructure of this country. So that to be something that you also vote on and pay attention to. Next one, Drew.
Tie into our next segment. I actually just love the name Apocalypse Wow.
Apocalypse what? Wow?
Illegals should
Like
never
JWoww?
be allowed to vote.
Illegals?
Illegal immigrants should never.
Yeah,
be
I don't understand why this is even a question, or I agree with you. Like, why is it that it's okay in this country, okay, to basically diminish and decrease our value of each legal, valid vote by allowing illegals to come in here, okay, and vote? Why is it? It's so you can't get a driver's license, go serve in a war, military, this or that. But come on in and vote. Come on in and clog our schools and hospitals and whatever. We're just going to reward people who break the law. We're also then going to give them the right to vote. When other people came to this country, like my father, and did it the legal way and actually became a United States citizen to then be able to vote, and as he did, to serve his country in the United States military. It frustrates me to no end, beyond belief. So there you go. Couldn't agree more. All right, we love all the comments. Keep them coming, because we read them all. All right, now we turn to the southern border, where the chaos and destruction is somehow going from bad to worse. Ask me as a former prosecutor, I know. Just look at this footage captured by our friends over at Breitbart, showing hundreds and hundreds of illegal migrants crossing the border into Eagle Pass, Texas, one after the other, just pouring in with no end in sight. And then an open border, as you know, is not a border. It's no border at all. And the crime and the chaos is only getting worse. The drugs, the human and child and sex trafficking, it all is a part of it. The gangs coming in and the cartels. So because according to another report, an illegal immigrant from Peru, charged with the murder of an American citizen in Eagle Pass, Texas this week, was first caught by Border Patrol crossing illegally back in May and was released into the U.S. with a court date in, wait for it, 2025. Oh, yes. So here to react to all of this, former acting ICE director, an American hero as far as I am concerned, and so many of you are, Tom Homan. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm sorry I'm in my car. The DC traffic's terrible, so I didn't get to the office. But one point...
You'd have an easier time crossing the border than getting in with the DC traffic, just so you know. But go ahead.
Exactly. Well, one point, I just heard you talk about the voting. Look, what the Biden administration is doing with these millions of people coming in, they don't even have to vote, because Biden administration also overturned the Trump census rule, which means these millions of people they're letting in will go to sanctuary cities. They'll be counted in the next census, which is going to do what? It's going to be more seats in the House for the Dems.
It's scandalous.
They sold our border security out for future political power. They're going to get more seats in the House just from the census alone. So they don't even have to vote. This is about selling our country out for future political power.
You're absolutely right. And they're trying to create a, quote, new citizen that's going to be just, highly motivated, to vote just, for the left policies, etc., run up the numbers for the census, affect the map, the districting, all of that. That's going to result in them having more representatives in to put it more liberal and dangerous policy. So it's a vicious cycle that we're witnessing here. So, as you mentioned, the Biden team is, they're really lying about wanting a secure border. They do not want a secure border. How do we know? Because they're not doing anything to actually make sure that happens. They're actually quite doing the opposite. We see it with our own eyes. Why do they want the chaos? Because they want the votes, they want the whole, redistricting and more people coming in and counting in censuses in sanctuary cities? What else is the reason? I think
what people need to understand, it's just not about illegal immigration anymore, right? When you cause a crisis this big, up to 70% of agents are pulled off the line, change diapers, make baby formula, make airport runs, make hospital runs. With 70% of the agents off the line, that's why we have the fentanyl crisis, because agents are on patrol. That's why we have a record number of known suspected terrorists arrested crossing the border. That's why we have a record number of women and children being sex trafficked in the United States. That's why we have a record number of migrants now. We had over 1,700 migrants have died in U.S. soil, over 100,000 Americans on fentanyl. So this immigration issue, this humanitarian issue they purposely created, is killing Americans and killing migrants at record numbers. But the scariest thing is the terrorism. Look, they've arrested 264. Border Patrol's arrested people from 171 different countries. Many of these countries are sponsors of terror. If they've arrested 264, we got 1.8 million known gotaways based on camera traffic, drone traffic, and sensor traffic. So if we got 1.8 million gotaways and we got 171 countries, some sponsored terror, if you don't think a single one of that 1.8 million didn't come to this country to blow something up and do us harm, then you're a moron. This is what's happening on this border. This is the biggest national security failure in this country since 9/11.
That is quite a statement. I know it's accurate. It's outrageous to me what is happening here. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't think it would be this bad this quickly. And that's the problem here. Now, quite under your leadership, just to highlight the difference, we had the most secure border on record. Okay, this is with you and with Donald Trump. How did you achieve it? And could it be done again with the right policies? How quickly can we turn this around to stop the drugs from pouring in, to secure this border, to stop the massive migration of illegals coming into this country?
This is strictly a policy issue. If this administration wants to secure the border, they can do it in 30 days. Just dust off the Trump doctrine, but dust off the Remain in Mexico, dust off the Third Safe Country Agreement, start building the wall. President Trump was one badass president, right? He didn't take anything from Central America or Mexico. He told Mexico, you're going to put military in the northern border. You're going to participate and remain in Mexico. If you don't, I'll tariff the hell out of you. Now, I was in the office when he called the Central American presidents and said, you're going to sign the Third Safe Country Agreement. If you're really escaping fear and persecution from El Salvador and you get into Mexico, have you not escaped that fear and persecution? You should be claiming asylum there. So all they got to do is dust off the Trump policies. I had dinner with the president a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I told him, when he gets back in office, I'll come back along with the rest of the team. We'll secure the border in 90 days. We'll secure it back to the level it is. What President Trump did was unprecedented. Mm-hmm. And you got people like Governor DeSantis saying that Trump didn't do enough. Trump could have done more. DeSantis didn't build 1 mile of wall. President Trump built 465 miles. Governor DeSantis never talked to President Mexico and the President of Central America to get game-changing policies that gave us the safest border in my lifetime, my career. I spent 34 years doing it. What President Trump did was unprecedented, and it hasn't been done by any president I've ever worked for. And I'll say that's the last point. I've worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president I've worked for did something to secure the border because they understood you can't have national security without border security. No one did more than President Trump. Joe Biden is the first president in the history of this nation who came into office as a president of the United States and unsecured a border. Who the hell does that? Who has more illegal immigration, more illegal drugs, more trafficking in women and children, more cartel crime cross-border, more terrorists that enter the United States? What Biden did is he also did something unprecedented. The first president who unsecured the safest border this nation ever had.
No, you're absolutely right. And I love that you say you can do it in 90 days. Explain to our folks at home what the Trump doctrine is.
There's several things. Number one, the game changer was the Remain in Mexico program. And the highest courts in the land has said that's a legal program. This administration could solve 85% of their problems tomorrow if they reinstitute the Remain in Mexico program. It allowed people to still claim asylum, but you're going to wait in Mexico until your hearing. If you win your hearing, welcome to the United States. If you lose your hearing, we don't have to look for you. Because what this administration is doing right now is catch and release. People are going to lie. First of all, let's be clear. Based on immigration court data in the last 10 years, 9 out of 10 people who claim asylum at the border never get relief in the U.S. courts. They simply don't qualify. Mm-hmm. So 9 out of 10 get order removal. But since they're released, we can't find them. We never remove them. They'll hang out for the next amnesty. President Trump understood that data points. I remember sitting in Austin talking about this. He goes, wait a minute now. If 9 out of 10 lose their case and order removed and they don't leave, why are we releasing them? Why don't we hold on to them until they see the judge? And if they lose, we got them. They can go south. That's when the Remain in Mexico program came into effect. That was a game changer. The other thing that made a lot of difference is the three countries in South America. Central America, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. He had them sign an agreement. If someone from one of the three countries enters your country on the way to the United States or Mexico, they've obviously escaped fear and persecution from their home government because they're not in their home country anymore. You need to let them claim asylum there. Those two policies was a game changer. And lastly, the wall. You know, every place we built the wall, illegal immigration decreased, illegal drug flow decreased. 100% of the time, every place the wall is built. So now you got these naysayers right now saying, well, the Trump wall don't work. We got historic illegal immigration. You're an idiot. Where are they crossing? Ask me the second question. Where are they coming right now? Where there's not a wall.
Right. Path of least resistance, right? Evil will always find it. It's like, duh, to these dummies out there. Of course, they're not climbing over the walls we built. They're going where the wall wasn't completed. I mean, my God.
Exactly.
So I'd say we got to, put that in full force and effect.
And one important point about the wall, people say, well, some people can climb the wall. Some people can. But what the wall does is give Border Patrol enough time enough to respond, right? It slows people down.
It's a deterrent. It slows them down, give them a chance.
Right. The most important thing about the wall, though, women and children can't climb that wall, which means they're going to go to a place where there's not a wall. Guess what's going to be the Border Patrol agents to save lives? Because a lot of these women and children are in bad shape. So the wall saved lives. Building that wall not only helped secure the border, it saved lives of the migrants. That is, and the Border Patrol agent will tell you that. Less people died. Under Joe Biden, I just mentioned 1,700 migrants have died under Joe Biden because of these open border policies. Under President Trump, we had 83% decline in illegal immigration. If 83% less people are coming, how many women weren't being raped by the cartels? How many children weren't drowning in the river? How many migrants didn't die in U.S. soil? How many terrorists didn't get into the United States? How many pounds of fentanyl didn't get into the United States? When you move illegal immigration, a decrease of 83%, it's like I use the analogy. If you take 83% of the cars off the highway, would there be less highway deaths? Of course. President Trump's policy not only gave us the most secure border in my lifetime, it saved thousands of lives.
It's really true. So I think we have build the wall, implement the Trump doctrine, the Remain in Mexico policy to be able to turn this around, very quickly, and then, remind the individuals in charge of these Central American companies that they'll be held, liable and culpable for this, and let them seek asylum in their country. I mean, give me a break. I mean, you saw what's going on at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, and all the people that are, quote, asylum seekers, like lined up like body bags all over the sidewalk, because that's at capacity. I mean, who can even honestly look themselves in the face and say, that these policies work? I mean, it's making our American cities as well, less safe. It's such an incredible burden on the economies in those cities, on housing, on healthcare, on the school system, all of the above.
And it's going to get worse. Today, Secretary Mayorkas says he's going to award 500,000 work visas, and he's going to expand TPS. When he said that, every alien that hasn't come yet is going to say, wait a minute now. Now I'm going to get to the United States and take a chance on getting a TPS, temporary protected status, and work authorization. They keep throwing gas on the fire. I've said this every day under this administration. They haven't done a single thing. They haven't. He should have been impeached 2 years ago.
I agree.
And the Republicans need to do it. And if they don't do it, then we need to vote them out of office too. The Secretary of Homeland Security needs to be impeached and removed, because what he just did is throw gas on the fire. Everything he's done since he's been secretary, not one thing was meant to slow the flow. All he's done is send more resources to the border to process quicker and release quicker, because if there's no overcrowding, he can say nothing to see here.
Yeah, it's just been an accelerant, like you said, pouring gas on the fire. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait. This is just even one of the most important reasons to put Trump back in office. We get this guy, okay? A serious individual who knows how to fix this problem ASAP. 90 days, folks. Think about that and make sure you get out and vote. He's part of the package. All right, Tom Homan, a great American. Thank you so much, Fearless Warrior. We appreciate you and have tremendous respect for you on this program. Our viewers love you.
All right. President Trump, 2025, back in the White House. Looking forward to it.
There you go. All right. Fantastic. And my closing remarks just ahead, and I'll respond to your questions and comments. And I also want to bring you a special message from Patriot Lifestyle, where you can save more and spend less on a whole host of different benefits, from non-insurance healthcare benefits to savings on travel. You can go to patriotbenefits.net to learn more, because these programs all come at an extraordinary value and will greatly improve your life. All right, Drew, we get another question.
This one's sort of funny. The username is BilboBot. So we all know the old adage, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
So his is, bring back the Trump economy, damn it.
I like that. Bring back the Trump economy, damn it. You know what? That's the same way I feel. I haven't heard anyone say that just that way, but I like it, right? Because we know what to do with the Trump economy. We're winning, and America's crushing it, absolutely. So I want to say thank you, and please continue the conversation. Let's hop on over to Locals at the end of this program, and make sure and like and subscribe to my channel, to Donald Trump Jr.'s channel, so you never miss an episode. And in closing, from coast to coast, the Democrats' destruction is an undeniable as ever. Okay, it's as undeniable as ever. The justice system is collapsing. The border is wide open. You just heard from Tom Homan. And everyday Americans are as frustrated as ever with the direction of the country, or the misdirection, quite frankly. It's why on this show, we're as committed as ever to bringing you the stories too many in the media are ignoring, because we reject the false narrative and we will always seek the truth. No fake news here. So be sure to like and subscribe to my channel and Don's. I'm at Kimberly Guilfoyle. Turn on notifications, download the Rumble app, and tell all your friends so they know exactly where to find us. And by the way, you'll be catching us next week, broadcasting live from the Reagan Library for the second presidential debate in California. And also, please be sure to follow us across all platforms: X, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. Don and I love to see you there. And guess what? Don't miss Don Jr.'s big show live at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on Rumble. Download his channel and turn on notifications with former acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grinnell, who just had a birthday, so happy birthday to him. Hop on over to Locals, please, if you will, for a few minutes for a live Q&A